Today it was a show of strength by the opposition as Yashwant Sinha, their joint presidential candidate, filed his nomination, flanked by NCP chief Sharad Pawar and Congress MP Rahul Gandhi with the support of 18 parties against NDA's Draupadi Murmu. After filing his papers, Sinha called the presidential poll a battle between the ideology of absolute power and that of freedom, and in the same breath also went on to undermine Draupadi Murmu.
The President of the Republic has the most important duty of advising the government. He depends on the advice of the Council of Ministers. But in turn, it is his right and responsibility to also advise the government. ये बहुत महत्वपूर्ण है कि राष्ट्रपति भवन में उसी तरह का व्यक्ति जाए जो इन फंक्शंस को, इन जिम्मेदारियों को निभा सकेगा। ये हमारे इतिहास में, स्वतंत्र भारत के इतिहास में समय समय पर ऐसा हुआ है जब राष्ट्रपति केवल रबर स्टैंप बन के रह गए।
Now, despite a show of unity, the numbers are clearly stacked in favour of Draupadi Murmu, and the anti-BJP bloc clearly realises this, which might be the reason why Sinha supporters seem to have resorted to defaming Draupadi Murmu now.
ये विचारधारा की लड़ाई है, दो अलग अलग विचारधाराओं की लड़ाई है। एक तरफ नफरत और दूसरी तरफ भाईचारा और देश की भावना।
हम लड़ाई नहीं लड़ पाते हैं क्योंकि हमारे सामने यह कह दिया जाता है आपके समाज का राष्ट्रपति तो है और उस राष्ट्रपति ने कलर के बराबर काम नहीं किया।
Presidential election is not an election between two individuals. It is an election between two ideas. One idea is of RSS, the divisive, sectarian, communal, fascist idea of India. On the other hand, the idea of secular democratic parties which want to save our constitution, safeguard our constitution, our democratic polity.
You're watching the News Hour at 10, debate number 2 on Times Now, Super Prime Time.
Tuhin Sinha, spokesperson of the BJP, joins us along with senior journalist Vardhan Tripathi, Vikraman, spokesperson of VCK. Gokul, we also have with us Mr. Tausif Khan. He's leader of the Trinamool Congress, and Khaliqur Rahman, leader of the TRS. I want to start by asking you, Tuhin Sinha, essentially the argument is that on the one hand you have somebody who's been a cabinet minister, somebody who's a seasoned politician. On the other you have a rubber stamp. The country doesn't need a rubber stamp as president.
Well, good evening, Padmaja. There are only two rubber stamps I know. One was Rabri Devi and the other was Dr. Manmohan Singh. That's point number one. Number two, let me take you, back to the equation between this opposition and Yashwant Sinha. In 2002, the Congress party had accused Yashwant Sinha of being a part of the UTI scam and had demanded his resignation. Yashwant Sinha returned the favor in 2004 by calling Manmohan Singh, Dr. Manmohan Singh, Shikhandi, and he even, was defiant and continued to justify. So this opposition essentially has no self-dignity. It is backing a person who has called its own ex-Prime Minister Shikhandi. Number three, the Congress, we know for a fact, has always tried to demean leaders from weaker sections of society. At one point of time, they had a very bitter estrangement with Bala Sahab Ambedkar. Then we know what they did to Babu Jagjeevan Ram, and eventually we have seen what they did to Sitaram Kesri, who was locked in the bathroom so that he could not, file his nomination for the post of president once again.
Okay.
So Congress essentially cannot come to terms with the fact that a self-made Adivasi woman who has risen from being a corporator to an MLA to a minister in the Odisha government to a governor with an unblemished record can eventually lead the country as a president.
Okay. Mr. Vikraman, your party claims to stand for the most backward in society, the weakest, the people who have been left behind. And here is an Adivasi lady who has literally worked up from the grassroots being demeaned.
No, even though she is from the Adivasi community, she had been groomed under RSS umbrella. And she had been an RSS person ever since she joined the politics. And I would want to quote some incident. No, let me finish it. I would want to quote an incident which happened in 2nd January of
So she
2006.
ceases to be Adivasi because
which,
she is from the RSS, or she is not RSS actually, the BJP. So she ceases to be
BJP
Adivasi.
is just the face of RSS in electoral politics that everybody knows. There is no hiding of the fact.
That doesn't change her caste identity or her struggles.
So what struggle she had done? I'm telling you. Let me finish it if you allow me to finish it. On 2nd January.
Just a second. Did you say what struggles has she done? Sir, she started out as a teacher, then she entered politics at the grassroots, worked her way up, worked in the state government, and now, after being a governor, she has reached where she is.
What was the struggle for her people? What was the struggle for the Adivasi people she had done?
What is the struggle that Mr. Yashwant Sinha has done for any people?
Let me talk about
He was also a politician. So what are the struggles that Mr. Sinha is embodying?
I'll tell you, in 2nd January 2006,
other than his struggles against Mr. Modi,
Tata Steel Plant in Kalinganagar, Odisha, the then alliance government of BJD and BJP, they started police firing in which 13 tribals were shot dead. You'll have to notice that 13 tribals were shot dead. Draupadi Murmu, Mrs. Draupadi Murmu was the minister in that government, in that coalition government in Odisha. Did she speak any word against it? Did she raise a protest against it? No. That is a situation of any tribal minister, any tribal MLA, MP in RSS camp.
Okay, Yashwant Tripathi, तो वो नाम की आदिवासी हैं. She has presided over a massacre of Adivasis according to Vikraman.
Circus tiger.
Yashwant Tripathi, fascist. She's a fascist.
पद्मजा, बड़ा आश्चर्य होता है मुझे कि लोग टीवी की बहस में आते हैं तो तैयारी भी ठीक से करके नहीं आते हैं। द्रौपदी मुर्मू का पूरा जीवन ही आदिवासियों के लिए संघर्ष का भरा रहा है। उनका अपना निजी जीवन भी बहुत संघर्ष से भरा रहा है और वो कोई ऐसा नहीं है कि कोई पद, सत्ता, उसके लोभ में, लालच में वो राजनीति में आ गए। और जब वो राजनीति में आई तो उसके बाद भी एक बार उनको निजी जीवन में ऐसा अवसाद हुआ कि उन्होंने सोचा कि अब राजनीति छोड़ देनी चाहिए। लेकिन वो राजनीति में जब रही तो उन्होंने उच्च मानदंडों का, जिसको हम कहते हैं ना कि कभी उनके जीवन पर कोई घोटाला, कोई गड़बड़ी, कोई किसी तरह का पक्षपात, किसी तरह का भ्रष्टाचार, उसका आरोप नहीं है। और ऐसे लोग जो इस देश में कहते हैं कि हम सरोकारी राजनीति करते हैं, हम आदिवासियों के लिए, सोसाइटी के वीकर सेक्शन के लिए, पुअर्स के लिए, विमेंस के लिए, ऐसे लोगों का चेहरा, और मैं तो उसको कहूंगा जैसे इस देश में सेकुलरिज्म का फ्रॉड है ना, ऐसे ही ये सारे के सारे सरोकारी फ्रॉड हैं। इसीलिए इनको रामनाथ कोविंद के शानदार कार्यकाल के बावजूद वो नहीं लगता कि किस तरह से इस देश में जो सबसे नीचे है, जो सबसे आखिरी पायदान पर है, जिसको महात्मा गांधी कहते थे, डॉक्टर भीमराव अंबेडकर कहते थे, पंडित दीनदयाल उपाध्याय कहते थे, उनको ऊपर लाने की बात होती है और बिना किसी बंदूक की गोली की क्रांति वाली है ये अपने आप स्वतः, जिसको हम कहते हैं ना डेमोक्रेटिक वे में। और अब द्रौपदी मुर्मू शायद इसीलिए इनको नहीं पचता क्योंकि इनको सब कुछ बंदूक की गोली से निकलता हुआ दिखता है। ये लोकतंत्र हत्या से चलाना चाहते हैं, इसलिए इनको ये आदिवासियों की बात ठीक नहीं लग रही।
Vikraman.
Yeah, see, I want to make a claim that this is just a token, and they are
just because I remember last time you were very vocal about how Brahminical customs are the curse of society. Although I don't endorse that view at all, how is it that in this presidential election, talking purely about caste, an Adivasi lady is being pitted against an upper caste Brahmin from Bihar, and you've decided to support the latter, Mr. Vikraman? I thought your opinion was that Brahminism was the root of all evil.
Yeah, there is a difference between Brahminism and Brahmins. We are not against Brahmins as people. We are against the Brahminical idea. Draupadi Murmu.
So now Draupadi Murmu becomes Brahminical because she is from the BJP, but Yashwant Sinha is the face of the downtrodden because you are supporting him. Interesting. Caste is also a state of mind apparently. Yes, go on.
Brahminical. And yeah, I want to quote one thing also. Mr. Ramnath Kovind, being the president of the Republic of India, being the president of the Republic of India, he was not invited for Ram Janmabhoomi, the Ram temple. They were doing the Bhumi Puja. Even RSS chief was invited. He was not invited.
Harshvardhan, this is such rot WhatsApp ज्ञान. Harshvardhan Tripathi.
टीवी की डिबेट में आने से पहले कुछ पढ़ लिख लेना चाहिए. राष्ट्रपति राम जन्मभूमि या राम मंदिर के निर्माण में कहां जाएंगे, कब जाएंगे, इससे तय होगा क्या? प्रेसिडेंट ऑफ इंडिया के तौर पर रामनाथ कोविंद ने अपने हर दायित्व का निर्वहन किया. और अगर वो दलित के नाते कह रहे हैं तो जो ट्रस्टी है राम जन्मभूमि के वो भी एक दलित है जिन्होंने पहली ईंट रखी थी. इनको पता ही नहीं है, इनको ये जानकारी ही नहीं है कि एक दलित उस ट्रस्ट का न्यासी है और उसने पहली ईंट रखी है. लेकिन चूंकि इनको अपमानित करना है, मैं बार बार कह रहा हूं ना कि जब तक कोई ऐसी खबर नहीं आए जिसमें ब्राह्मणिकल एंगल नहीं खोजे, और सबसे ज्यादा जो वामपंथी पार्टियों में कम्युनिस्ट रहे आइडियोलॉजी के, उन्होंने सबसे ज्यादा ये ब्राह्मणिकल आइडियाज को आगे किया और उसके आधार पर सोसाइटी में डिवीजन किया.
And anyway, I think this is such a pointless argument because the president has subsequently been to Ram Janmabhoomi. He has been to Ayodhya. So making this argument is completely infructuous.
That puja ceremony, did he get the invite?
Okay.
Was he invited? I'm asking.
Okay. Mr. Tausif Ahmed, it's very interesting that we had one of the leaders there say that the RSS is embodied in Draupadi Murmu and the merits of the entire opposition are embodied in Yashwant Sinha. Could you explain how?
See, there is no debate, Padmaja. We have the credential of Mr. Yashwant Sinha, impeccable track record as a minister in Vajpayee cabinet and in other government. And prior to coming to politics, he is also an IS officer. The point that he made is today there's a fight of the ideology of absolute power and that of freedom. Mr. Yashwant Sinha is one who was with BJP and he left of BJP when he thought that everything was not going right. On the other hand, we have Ms. Draupadi Murmu. Why BJP has picked Ms. Draupadi Murmu? Please let us understand that this whole talk about welfare and representation of a tribal population is only a lip service of BJP. And why I say that? There are elections due in Gujarat, in Rajasthan, in Madhya Pradesh and in Chhattisgarh. And if we look at the result of 2017 and 2018 election, in tribal population, seats were reserved for 128 seats, and out of which only 35 seats were won by BJP. So it is BJP's political game to reach out to those population with a hope of getting some votes.
So great, they are reaching out to the tribal population. Even if we were to buy your argument, why is it a bad thing to reach out to a population?
If BJP was true, and if they really had a resolve to work for the tribal people, let us take a look at Madhya Pradesh, which has the highest tribal population, and most cases of atrocities against the tribal population happen registered in Madhya Pradesh. So it is only a
Tuhin Sinha.
lip service with
this is lip service to upliftment.
There's two things. This government is truly representational. Nobody can deny this. For the first time, we have a union law minister from Arunachal Pradesh. Is this because elections are going to happen in the northeast? So I don't think where they come with this illogical argument. Number two, I'm quite appalled that somebody should have a problem with Draupadi Murmu ji because of her association with RSS. On the other hand, the BJP, allow me to complete please. We are absolutely proud of that association because at a time, please, I'm making an important point, at a time when you have Adivasi leaders like Hemant Soren who are acting at the behest of the conversion lobby, and who are spreading falsehoods that Adivasis were never a part of the Hindu Samaj, it is all the more important that an Adivasi with RSS association should be brought forward because that RSS association makes her truly nationalist. So all this argument is absolutely illogical. The opposition argument is simply cannot come to terms with the fact that we are empowering the Adivasi population, which they could never do.
Yes.
I have a simple question, Padmaja.
Yes,
If
go on,
Yashwant
Tawfiq Ahmed.
Sinha, if Yashwant Sinha is elected as the president, put your hand on heart and answer this question. Can Yashwant Sinha be used by BJP as a rubber stamp president? No. But if they have Draupadi Murmu on the post of president, will BJP?
No, I'm sorry. Why are you making such a presumption? No, just a second. This is very problematic. What makes you think, Mr. Ahmed, that Draupadi Murmu will be a rubber stamp? Why? Because she's a woman? Or because she's an Adivasi? Or she's not an IS officer? Why are you assuming she will be a rubber stamp? No, why are you assuming she will be a rubber stamp? She doesn't have brains? Because she's not high-flying? Because she doesn't live in Delhi? Why are you assuming she would be a rubber stamp out of curiosity?
The Prime Minister did not even allow her to hand over the nomination paper. Do you think that Prime Minister will allow Ms. Murmu to
Yes, I think so. Yes, I think so. Because I think that she's a very accomplished lady who has a brain. Why are you dismissing her so patronizingly as a rubber stamp? What exactly has she done for you to reach a conclusion that she is nothing more than a rubber stamp? Give me one reason.
When Ms. Pratibha Patil, former Lady President of India, went to file her nomination there, she handed over the paper by herself. The Congress leadership allowed her to do that. But
okay. Yashwant Tripathi, so apparently Draupadi Murmu is a rubber stamp क्योंकि उन्होंने अपना पेपर अपने हाथ से नहीं दिया नॉमिनेशन भरते वक्त as opposed to a प्रतिभा पाटिल. Hence proven कि वो कभी कोई पेपर अपने हाथ से नहीं देंगी. हर्षवर्धन त्रिपाठी.
पद्मजा, मुझे सचमुच आश्चर्य हो रहा है और मुझे लग रहा है कि इस तरह की बहस में इनसे हम क्या बात करेंगे. जिस महिला का 2 दशक से ज्यादा का अपना राजनीतिक करियर है, जो महिला जिसकी पढ़ाई की भी कोई ऐसा नहीं है कि वो बिना पढ़ी लिखी महिला है उस आधार पर आपने टिप्पणी कर दी, महिला है इसलिए आपने टिप्पणी कर दी, आदिवासी है इसलिए आपने टिप्पणी कर दी, वो लगातार जनप्रतिनिधि के तौर पर बहुत नीचे लेवल से, ब्लॉक लेवल से, डिस्ट्रिक्ट लेवल से और स्टेट की मिनिस्टर से और उसके बाद झारखंड के गवर्नर से और फिर वो प्रेसिडेंट की कुर्सी पर जा रहे हैं और उनको 2007 में ओडिशा के बेस्ट एमएलए का अवार्ड मिला हुआ है. इसके अलावा वो श्री अरविंदो इंटीग्रल एजुकेशन सेंटर में 1994 में वो पढ़ा चुकी हैं टीचर के तौर पर. और ऐसी महिला के बारे में ये इस तरह की टिप्पणी कर रहे हैं, ये बहुत शर्मनाक है. और अगर सिर्फ इस देश में आईएएस होना या फिर ऐसे लोगों का, और कमाल की बात यह है कि राष्ट्रीय स्वयंसेवक संघ से जुड़ाओ. राष्ट्रीय स्वयंसेवक संघ अगर देश के हर उस इलाके में काम करता है जहां सरकारें नहीं पहुंच पाती, लोग नहीं पहुंच पाते, कोई वहां काम करने को तैयार नहीं है और कोई एक होल टाइम लाइफ टाइम प्रचारक जाता है, वो काम करता है और अगर वो लोगों को जोड़ रहा है, लोगों का अपलिफ्टमेंट कर रहा है, लोगों की लाइफस्टाइल बदल दे रहा है, तो उसमें भी इनको मुश्किल है. इसलिए मैं कह रहा हूं कि ये फर्जी सरोकारी है. ये लोग बांटना चाहते हैं और जितने एलीट लोग हैं उन सबको ये कष्ट है कि क्यों एक आदिवासी, क्यों एक दलित, क्यों एक टीचर सेक्टर का व्यक्ति वहां पहुंचता है.
खलीकुर रहमान,
यशवंत सिन्हा जैसा एलीट चाहिए.
It's elitism. It's elitism, not anything else.
Can you come again?
Yes, this is elitism. This reeks of elitism to say, oh, she will be a rubber stamp just because she happens to be from a tribal background.
See, actually, here, I mean, as for our presidential India is concerned, in fact, we have absolutely no personal grievance against her. But it is the BJP's double standard, actually, which, makes us to think why BJP is, playing the politics of the tokenism and then has chosen
but sir, again, this is so patronizing. Why are you assuming she is a token? Because you have just assumed that she will not take any decision.
I'm not saying that. Let me complete that. I'm not saying that. What I'm trying to tell you is, because I'll just give you an example of our state only, because when our state, that is Telangana, attained the statehood, after that, the tribal population in our state went up. Then we passed a resolution in the state assembly, then we sent it to the central government to increase the reservation for the tribal. And then we also demanded the tribal university, which was in fact kept in the cold storage. The central government has not taken any decision. And apart from that, Because, there have been atrocities on the tribals, as my learned friend was saying in Madhya Pradesh and all, at that point of time.
So, sir, if you are such a votary of tribal rights, why are you not supporting Draupadi Murmu?
So, then as far as Yashwant Sinha is concerned, Yashwant Sinha's profile, if you look at it, he has an impeccable, character, the illustrious.
Are you saying Draupadi Murmu has a bad character?
I'm not saying that.
Then?
Did I say? Because I'm saying that why are we supporting Yashwantji actually? So that is the reason.
But you just said that you are a votary for tribal rights, so why are you not supporting her instead of Yashwant Sinha? What is it that puts Yashwant Sinha here as opposed to her?
See, the presidential election is a very important election, and it is between the two ideologies in our country. So that will have to, in fact.
So you realize that you're saying the ideology you are opposing is trying to put a woman from a tribal background into the highest office of our country.
Don't try to give a different narrative to this. Actually,
there is no narrative. This is her existence. This is literally who she is.
She is backed by an ideology which is opposed by all of us actually.
So you are saying that the ideology she is backed by is elevating a woman from an Adivasi background to the highest office. That is an ideology we all must have, so that the last person in queue is in the highest office. You are actually praising the ideology backing her.
I think you are trying to put the wrong words into everyone's mouth.
I am putting no words in anyone's mouth. No. Mr. Vikraman wants to come in, then Harshvardhanji, I'll come back to you, and Tuhin Sinha. Yes, Mr. Vikraman.
Yeah, why she is rubber stamp? Because we have a precedent. We have what she has done already. In 2006 there was an uprising of tribals against the Tata Steel plant, and 13 tribals were shot dead. She was being the member of Legislative Assembly. She did not even protest, did not even raise her voice. She was part of the coalition government. She should have raised her voice. She did not do that. So even though, when she was being a minister, she could not raise her voice. Being the president, the real rubber stamp of this country, on the aid and advice of the Council of Ministers, only the president can act.
So, just a second, since you keep talking about a hateful ideology, sir, Yashwant Sinha, when his entry happened in the BJP, it was hailed as the biggest gift to the BJP. He comes from the Janasangh. He is literally a part of the very ideology that you're calling the worst ideology in the planet. But now he's been put in the secular washing machine, and now he's suddenly secular. He's not hateful anymore.
He is not part of that ideology anymore. He had
he's
come out
not.
Of BJP. Yes, he had come out of BJP. And
because when he fell out with Mr. Modi, suddenly he changed. He's like, oh my God, I have seen the light. The secular sun is shining.
He will act independently. He'll act independently. He's not part of RSS or BJP camp anymore. He's out of it. He has joined the secular forces. No man can be a thief until his death. He can change also. There's a point for reformation. Yes.
Oh, he's a reformed secular. That's nice to know. All right. So we have a reformed secular and a lady from a tribal background who has already been branded a rubber stamp by most, fighting for the highest office in our country. Let's hope that the best person wins. We'll be keeping a close eye. Thanks very much in the meantime, all gentlemen, for joining us.
The News Hour at 10. We'll be right back after the break.